Hello and welcome to the Collecting Heroes podcast. I'm your host JD, the collector of collectors, and this is the podcast where I interview pop culture collectors from around the world. And today we are actually going to a different part of the world. In fact, I have to say today's episode should be, dare I say, Wunderbar, I think might be the right word.
Yes,
And I say wonderful in German because my next collector is from Germany. His name is Fernando Belo, and he is a Wonder Woman collector. Fernando, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I saw your collection online on Instagram, and the minute I saw, it was actually a reel that I saw of your collection room. And the minute I saw that reel, I was like, this is the Wonder Woman collector, because I'd been thinking about having a Wonder Woman collector on for a while. And when I saw your room, I was like, blown away. It was so beautiful that I just knew that I had to have you on the show. So I'm very excited to be chatting to you today. But the way I always start this podcast off with people, I know you're a little bit nervous, obviously, first time having a full interview in English as well. So thank you for your time that way. I love for people to tell me, how did you become a fan? So how did you originally become to be a fan of Wonder Woman?
I must say, I was grown in Germany. I am born in Germany, but here, the geek stuff, it wasn't so much. In 97, I go to my local store, and then I saw my very first comic book, and it was Wonder Woman with the Artemis Challenge. And I looked at this comic book, and I fall so in love with the painting. And then I started to read comics, and from beginning, my passion for Wonder Woman started. I was so in love with the history. I was loved from the drawing. I was so passionate by her, and for all what she stands in this era. I don't know the history of her. I only looked at the pages, and I was almost in love. And from that on began my passion for Wonder Woman. I got a lot of stuff and a lot of comics, and in Germany it's not so easy to get that stuff. In the 90s, comics are more in the United States, and in Germany there were always 1, 2, 3 comic books of Wonder Woman. She was not so famous in Germany, but now it's changed.
I was going to ask, when you were originally buying the comic books, were they written in German or were they written in English?
No, they were written in German, and the first comic book of Wonder Woman in German was the challenge of Artemis, when Artemis was Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman lost her costume, and it was very, very cool, but it was all in German, and I was so curious about the whole story that I go to comic shops in where they are very raw in Germany, and I bought some of English comic books, and then I must learn to read English and understand English, but to know the stories. And so it started my passion for Wonder Woman.
Excellent.
I
So
was
reading
years.
the comics actually helped you to speak the language and speak English as well.
Yes, it helps a lot. It helps a lot because in school you have English, but not as so good. When I was 10 years old, the English wasn't in this level that it is now.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
very different in that time, and it was very frustrating sometimes that I couldn't understand everything, and I want to know so much more about the Wonder Woman and the history of DC Comics. And here in Germany, only I remember Batman, the animated series. This was the only DC stuff I know here. Or Catwoman in Batman Returns. This was that kind of comic stuff that were in Germany too. But Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, this was never such a big thing in Germany.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that because, I mean, that would be before your time. I mean, the original TV show came out before my time even. In 1975 was when the TV show came out, the Linda Carter Wonder Woman
Yes.
show. I do remember watching that as a kid. I do remember seeing the episodes of that as a kid. Is that something, have you gone back now as a Wonder Woman fan? Have you gone back to watch a lot of the older media, like the old 75 TV show and things like that as well?
Of course, in the 90s, it started with internet and with you can watch videos from a long time ago, and then I started to see episodes, but never the full episodes. And then I bought the DVDs, and I looked every episode. I saw every episode of the 3 seasons, and I loved it. It was different. It was different because it was
Yes,
a other time, yes, but I
yes,
loved it. I think Linda Carter is an amazing and beautiful representation of Wonder Woman. Yeah, she is. And this era, this female and this empowerment of a female, not only the, can I say, the sexual thing of Wonder Woman in her bathing suit or in her uniform. I think Linda Carter did a very well job, and how kind and beautiful Wonder Woman can be. And she is a role model for women and for little girls. Not
yeah,
only little girls need to have a princess who needs a prince to be saved. She is a princess who can save herself. And that I loved always about Wonder Woman. She is toe to toe with Batman, Superman, and other guys, superhero guys.
And it's funny that you talk about the Wonder Woman, even talking about the costumes. Obviously, there is a sexy aspect to them, and like I think a lot of females back in comics over the years. But when Wonder Woman was actually created, I was reading some of the history of this prior to today, so that I could get a little bit more history before coming in to talk to you. So the first appearance of Wonder Woman was in 1941 in All Star Comics, and
Yes.
was actually created by a psychologist called William Moulton Marston under the pseudonym Charles Moulton. But the history of why he was brought in was actually really interesting in the fact that at that time, over the first couple of years of comic books, the earlier one coming out, like the Superman and Batman and other comics that were coming out in the couple of years prior to that, they were actually, there was a lot of outcry that a lot of comic books had been, that were being either too sexy or too horrific, or that the content wasn't PG, I guess you could say, really, or PC for the time. And so reading about that, that was the reason he was actually brought in. The psychologist actually brought in because they wanted him to help evaluate, some of the content within the comics. And then
Yes.
he ended up coming up like later with the Wonder Woman character, which was released. So it's interesting talking about that. And when I was reading the history of it, there's so much history there to Wonder Woman.
I think Wonder Woman is not only the comic book icon. I think Wonder Woman, the comic, this figure is so much more for women history, for empowerment and being strong and can do what they want. They can go head to head with men. And I think Wonder Woman is a big role model for girls, for women out there in the 40s. This a woman must stay at home and cook, and Wonder Woman was
Hmm.
her own. She could do anything she want. The first comic, she was a secretary. We will
Yeah,
see that. She was not a superhero. She was more a secretary beside man. And I think this character was so good and so great. And history or the idea of Wonder Woman, it means so much to a lot of women out there who think in this era would never be so, how can I say, never be, when you see Wonder Woman in this era, women were at home, they cooked, they cleaned, they were always at home. And then came Wonder Woman, a woman who can do whatever she wants, had power like a man, and can
hmm,
fight for her rights and for the truth. And I think it's a very big role model for the
yeah.
girls in this time. And when
Definitely. And
we,
then women over the decades after that, even up into the 60s, prior to even the Linda Carter TV show that came into to places around the world. And yeah, obviously Wonder Woman has been there throughout all of that history. Is there a point in history, or like, is, it, is there a specific version of Wonder Woman that's your favorite?
I must say my all-time favorite Wonder Woman will always be the 90s era, because I started there to read comic books.
Hmm.
And when you see my page, there are some of Artemis Wonder Woman custom figures that I've
Yeah.
done by myself because I was always so fascinated of the Artemis Wonder Woman era and Wonder Woman in the 90s with the blue jacket and the leather outfit. I loved it so much, and this will always be because it's childhood for me. I wrote these comic books so many times because in this time I haven't a lot of Wonder Woman stories. Then I always try to recreate stuff from that. And in this era, there was not many collectibles of Wonder Woman.
Mm.
I remember my first Wonder Woman collectible was by DC Direct, a Wonder Woman action figure, and it was very hard to find here in Germany. And this was very from this era and will be always my number one, the 90s Wonder Woman. I don't know. I love everything of Wonder Woman. I love the new stories. I love this God. She is now the daughter of Zeus. In my time, she was made of clay and was not the daughter of Zeus. And I'm very open to every story because I think
That's
every
good.
story has its important side.
That's great. And you talk about the figures, and obviously that there wasn't a lot of figures that maybe were available in Germany and Europe in general potentially. Where do you source a lot of your figures from now? Is Has it become easier? I mean, you've got eBay and the internet makes it easier to
Yes,
purchase things online, but where were you going to buy your figures and statues before a lot of that?
honestly, when I started to collect, there wasn't eBay. There
Hmm.
wasn't eBay here in Germany. I go to very small toy events where the most of was He-Man and figures and that stuff. And in one corner, I remember was a little comic era corner, and I saw this Wonder Woman figure, and I was so amazed by it, and I bought it. And she's one of my first comic action figures, and it was Wonder Woman and stays behind me. And now she's in 99. I bought her.
Do you remember how much that cost?
I think 20 DM because in this era, Germany, you have the German money. It was DM, D-Mark.
The,
Now it's euro, but in this
uh,
time, Germany has his own money, and this was 20 DM.
yeah, I think I used to. I obviously probably mispronounced it, but I used to think of it as the Deutsche Mark, but that's not right, is it?
Deutsche D-Mark. See,
Oh
yes,
yeah, yeah,
DM is Deutsch, die
yeah.
Mark is DM is Deutsche Mark, die
Ah,
Deutsche
yeah,
Mark.
okay, yeah. I do remember that. I do remember growing up as a child that is the Deutsche Mark, and
Yes,
before
they.
Euro came in. Yeah.
Mhm.
How much
How
would
you
20
said
Deutsche Marks be in euro these days?
euro? They said always one DM, Deutsche Mark in this time were 2 euros, but I
Okay.
don't know if it's this right. I don't know even
Hmm.
because it changed a lot when the euro come to Germany. It changed a lot of the money and how the value of things. I don't know if it's really compared to now.
Would you say the value of things went up or down at the time?
Up, up. Now, my mother always said, in time for 50 Deutsche Mark, you could buy a car full of food. Now, with 50 euros, it is always a few
A
things
basket.
to
Yeah.
buy. This is in this era, my mother said.
I
But
I
if
can
you
understand that. I mean, inflation
in
has taken everything up a level as well.
in this time as a kid, you don't know how much it's money, and you have your pocket money and you buy your things, but
Mhm.
I don't know if it's really much more expensive now, but I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What would be? You said that one of your favorite figures is that. So your favorite versions of Wonder Woman obviously is that original comic book version from the 90s, the Artemis one, and then this item that you picked up the from the toy fair is one
Mhm.
of your favorite figures. Yeah, you also collect a lot of statues. Do you have a favorite
Yes.
statue or statue producer?
I must say I have a lot of favorite statues for me, but I never in this week I love this one. In 2 weeks after I love this even more. But my one of my favorites always will be the DC Direct Cover Girls Wonder Woman by Adam Hodges. I love this design so much. It's a very small one, but I love her very. I think in this time, sculpting statues were very different, and he did a very good. The sculptor did a very good job on her. The expression, the body, the suit, it was different. It was very 90s. In 90s, the costume of Wonder Woman was very small and shows a lot, but I love this figure. It's very beautiful.
And there's been so many different versions over the years of the outfits on a lot of the different DC women. I see you're also a fan of Catwoman and Poison Ivy.
Yes.
Obviously, Wonder Woman is number one on that list, and I can see
Oh my
the
God.
room behind you, which we'll talk about a bit more as well. But you know, Catwoman and Poison Ivy. Also part of that DC Bombshells line as well. Are you a fan of the Bombshells line?
Yes, I have every Wonder Woman of the Bombshells line and Catwoman and Poison Ivy. Yes, the
Yeah.
other not, but these three characters I have everything of the Bombshell line. Yes.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I love the bombshell lines as well. I think they're really cool. I wanted to get a lot of the statues. I missed out early on getting some of those statues, and now to go back and get a poison ivy, the original bombshell statue of that is hundreds of dollars for this
Oh,
for the
no, I
statue.
know she's very beautiful. And there are two versions of her, and the first one is very beautiful with the
Hmm.
heart with veins behind her.
Hmm.
It's very beautiful. I got her, but I must confess that she's packed and not displayed. I don't have so
Space.
much room. Yes, my space figures get even bigger, 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 and I'm a fan of putting a display in a beautiful way to show the figure in the beauty and not always stuck 20 figures in one room and don't
Yeah.
have enough space to show her. And after time I changed the figures. I put this in a bag and put other out, but it's very, very complicated with spaces. The figures always turned out much bigger and
Hmm.
taller, and
Hmm.
my room it's big, but I got a lot of stuff if you see. And it's
I always say, and people, anyone who knows listening to the podcast, and shout out to someone in particular who messaged me this weekend or this week who would know probably who that is. But space is the enemy of collectors, and we say that a lot here. Your room, talking about your room though, because I can see fantastic in the background, and you know, at the end of this the podcast, we will plug your socials to people, and I definitely think people should go and have a look because it's amazing looking at your room. I love the colors. I especially love because I have a lot of like dark furniture and everything, and obviously a lot of collectors that I see they use a lot of white furniture. You have a lot of white as well, but it's just set up like a museum almost. You've got wonderful glass shelving along one wall. You've got another lot of wooden shelving with glass doors, and then you've got that the display island in the middle with the large statues. Just the way it is all set up is amazing. It literally looks like its own little mini museum. When you started, like when you created this room, what was the thought process going into it?
for me, it's almost, I think, white. I'm a very bright person and I like white stuff. I like white rooms. And I
Hmm.
think if I would be a Batman collector, I would do anything in black because it's it's Batman is black and the rest must be more darker and think that's much beautiful. But in Wonder Woman is a goddess, and I think when I think of the room, I want to show a little bit of the Olympus, a little white, a little goddess, and
Hmm.
because of this, it's all in stone, white, light. Because my imagination of the Olympus, it's very bright, and I don't know. I think it's because of this Wonder Woman turns in white, and my display is brighter. I don't know.
Are
My
they?
Catwoman corner, I would to do a little bit more darker because Catwoman is out of Gotham City.
Yes, of
We'll
course.
see. I will always change a little bit in this room. My Poison Ivy corner is a bit different. If I don't know if you've seen it on my Instagram, I made a little display with plants behind and made the Ivy logo with light. And she had her corner and a bit modified to the character. But
Yes.
Wonder Woman all in white and stone.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, and it even makes like because there's so much gold as well within like obviously the reds and the blues, but there's like a lot of gold lining and the shields and uh I can see like the helmet pieces on some of them, and just it all pops and just like I said, just looks like a museum quality almost in the way that you've set it up, which is great, and especially with the lighting. Is it is that IKEA shelving that you're using in the background there? Is that
Yes, that's the IKEA shelving, but I modified it.
Mhm.
One piece, I made it double to be more space between it. I made two. I don't know how to say it.
You okay? So did you actually put? So you used the frame from one at the
Seeing,
front
yes,
to make it deeper.
yes, to get it deeper, I used two of them and I
Oh
put them
yeah.
together to have more space. I can show you.
So
So when you
it's like the Billy bookcase. They look like the Billy bookcases, right?
they are more deeper now, and I
Ah,
can
yes, yes, yes.
now because it's very the space is very small. If you got a more bigger figures, they need
Hmm.
more space, and I got two with double
I'd
double
never
space.
thought of doing that. I'd never thought of using one in front of the other, but obviously just removing the backing board so that you could actually. I mean, that's smart. That's actually really smart. And I like could not tell. I thought you were maybe using two different types of shelving, but you've just used the one. They are the Billy bookcases. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, that's
Yes. Okay. Excellent. And then you've got just the. Are you doubling up the glass shelving as well?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. You can see it up there. There are two glass
Yeah.
to have this space and the yeah, because when you see the Wonder Woman back then from Iron Studio from Iron Studios,
Iron
no,
Studios. Yeah.
or Queen Studios, the golden one, she's very big and the wings are very, very. To, her
Is
wings
that
are
based on the 19 Wonder Woman 19
84.
84? Yes, that's right.
This is the
Yes.
Wonder Woman from Queen Studios 1984, and she's not very small. She's very big, and she had
Mhm.
more in front. The wings go to front, and they didn't have the space between. When you only get one from them, it's very small, and she never would go in there.
Okay,
So I must think of, sorry, my English is not so. I
that's
would
okay.
tell so much more in German. I could tell you everything and I I think you must think this man is a little bit stupid. I
No,
can
no, no,
speak
no, 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 no,
all in
not at
German,
all.
but
Not at
my
all.
English is very
No, no,
not so good.
no, 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 no. You're making perfect sense. It's fine. I can see the way that it's displayed. Obviously, the amount of space it takes up with the wings would make it harder to display.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And I hate dust. Dust. I hate dust. And always dust is the right word for
yes,
the
dust. Yeah,
dirt.
yeah, dust. Yeah,
Dust.
yeah.
I hate it always with my to clean it and I hate it. And so I love when it's behind glass. So
Uh-huh.
I don't must to
To
clean it
dust it that
every
much.
time,
Yeah.
but every collector have this. We must clean and from the dust.
Well, like I said, you obviously keep it museum quality, and that includes the white glove surface of cleaning it, I guess, as well.
Yes.
So talking about actually, because we're talking about now, we've referenced here the Queen Studios statue for the 1984, which was
Mhm.
Gal Gadot, right? And what was your feelings when you first saw her in the 2017 film? I mean, obviously we'd seen her prior to that in Batman vs Superman BVS. But what was your first
My,
feeling? I
my
imagine you went to the cinemas to see that one.
when I can speak honestly, my first feelings when I hear that Gal Gadot will represent the role of Wonder Woman, this was in 2015 or
Yeah,
something, when it was announced that Gal Gadot, I was, oh my goodness, she is not so the type of warrior that I would love to see Wonder Woman in cinema because it's such a big thing. And I was okay. This woman had a beautiful body, but she's more a model, a supermodel, not a warrior to me.
yeah,
But when I saw the first trailer of Wonder Woman, when she stands up with a shield in the trailer, it was mind blowing. I thought she's perfect in this role, and I
is that the one
love.
where she's stepping forward with the bullets coming off off the
Yes, when
yeah
when the
off the
shield, she is
shield?
behind the shield and she turns the shield down and you see Wonder Woman in her grace. And I think, oh my goodness, she is Wonder Woman. And don't be I loved always the eyes of Linda Carter. She has these beautiful blue eyes,
Uh-huh,
and Wonder Woman in the comics always has blue eyes. And I think,
uh-huh.
oh my goodness, will they do contact lens? Or I don't know how to
Yeah, yeah, contact lens.
their
Yeah.
eyes blue, but I think it turns out perfect with her brown eyes, her stunning face, and everything about Gal Gadot. It's Wonder Woman. She is so positive, and I must say the actress, when you see her on interviews and in everything, when she smiles, she represents this role in her real life. I think a little
Mhm.
bit. She's the perfect choice for Wonder Woman, and my first my first feelings were very bad and I was very disappointed, but at least I love her and I'm changed my mind completely. She's
Once you saw
perfect.
her on screen, yeah, I remember seeing that in the cinema and just being blown away. And like, I know that that was one of the more successful movies for DC in the last
Mhm.
decade, and it's no wonder because it's Patty Jenkins, I believe, is the director for that one. She
Yes.
did a fantastic job with that movie, and Gal Gadot just did a fantastic job in the role as well. In representing the character and just you did like that moment you're talking about where she steps out into the field, taking on the fire, the hail of bullets coming in on off her shield. That just felt so powerful. I think I almost got goosebumps actually in the cinema watching it because it was such a cool moment.
And I think I must say the time period when you see the comics or you see the Linda Carter show is was always the World War II when Wonder Woman gets to the man's world. But
Uh-huh.
now in this movie, it was the World War One. It was a bit different, and I think this was a masterpiece. How she made it and
Yeah.
changed the story a little bit, and how the story connects with Wonder Woman and the world of Wonder Woman.
Hmm.
She done a very good job, and I think we must remember Wonder Woman was one of the first superhero films. Solo films. There was no Black Widow or Captain Marvel. Wonder Woman was
Hmm.
the first one, and they wait a long time for this, but I think the
It's worth
period
the
was
wait.
very good, and she shows how Wonder Woman stays and for what Wonder Woman stays. She's not always only a superhero who has power. Wonder Woman has such more behind that other superhero cannot compare to her.
Yeah, yeah. I have to ask though. And I hope you don't mind me asking, but I'd love to get your perspective on this. How do you feel as a German person? Obviously, it's a much more modern day. We're talking about 100 years now in the past. But how
Mhm.
do you feel watching a movie with like World War One? The Germans are the bad guys. Going in. How does that feel watching that as a as a young German person?
I must think it's always the German are the bad guys in this movies. All Germany has a big history and a very dark history, and I think the people now that we know about the history and we are very scared how could happen such a thing with and so beautiful country because Germany is very beautiful, and now Germany. I'm an immigrant. My parents were from Portugal. They
Hmm.
came here have never problems with German people. I will say racism or there were very this country changed a lot. But when I see films, it belongs to Germany. This history, this dark history, it's a part of Germany, and I don't have very problem because in this time it was so. We cannot regret it. It was Germany's
Mhm.
were very bad. The German history is very, very, how can I say it? Very dark and not so friendly to other people. And
Yeah.
it's normal for me to see that the Germans are the bad guys because in that eras the Germans
Do
were
you,
the bad guys.
does that feel pride? Are you filled with pride now when you think about where Germany maybe came from to where it is
Yeah.
now, and the people, like the growth as well? Is that something that instills you with pride?
Yes, very. Germany is very open now, and I think I'm now 36 years old, and I never had problems to be an immigrant and came from other country in Germany. Germany changed a lot, and it's very open and very they helps people, and many people have ideas that Germany it's always very, how can I say, against other people or so, but that's not true.
Yeah,
Germany is very open now. In Germany, it's a very beautiful country to live now, and it's very safe. When you see Germany is one of the countries with who give the people very safe places now,
I would
and
love
I
to
love
visit there one day. Um,
it's
I, I'd love to come over actually and do Oktoberfest. I think would be fantastic to come over and experience that one year maybe.
a big thing in Germany.
Yeah, yeah. Let's take it back to Wonder Woman. You've been collecting from back in the '90s, late '90s, from the comic books right to now when you've got these statues. If you had to get rid of everything in your collection and could only keep one item in your collection, this is I often ask people this. What would be the one item that you would keep?
My one item that I keep, the one item that I will keep will be the first Wonder Woman that I talked about. It's the DC cover girls of by Adam Hodges. This
Mhm.
Wonder Woman by DC Direct. I love her so much. She's not one of my first Wonder Woman I got, but she is one of this Wonder Woman I thought I saw, and I think they done justice to her because there are a lot of stages. She's very masculine and very, I don't know, the faces are not so beautiful, and I think this statue is very, very beautiful. She's not the how can I, she's not so expensive than others, but for
Mhm.
me she's a masterpiece. I love her. DC Collectibles recreate her in a bigger size, but you cannot not compare these ones. She's bigger than one by DC Collectibles, but she's not so perfect, and the
Mhm.
faces is not painted as well. And I think DC Direct back then done a very better paint job at the figure than DC Collectibles. When you see the DC Collectibles action figures and statues, they're not so well always being painted. When you see the action figures from DC Collectibles, the first ones, the New 52 era, and so they're very, very bad painted.
Okay.
I'm a I love to paint, and sometimes I repainted the faces because were very not so good.
Yeah, that's another question I was going to ask you. Actually, like, it's funny that you're talking about the painting because you mentioned before about doing some custom figures when you wanted to do
Yeah,
the Artemis versions. Do you do a lot of customization of figures? Like, is that something you do a lot?
I do it for myself. When I see a figure and don't get her, I try to make one for me. I'm not as
I
good
love
as
that.
many others. There are very good, talented people who done customized action figures. You see and think, oh my goodness, how did he do that? I try my best, and I think it figured out very well sometimes. And when a figure don't are to sell, I made it.
What about when you're sourcing? So obviously, you take some time to make your own figures, but when you're actually sourcing figures you want, where in Germany or online in Europe is the best place that you find to purchase from?
We have here comics. We have here online shops, German online shops who sell action figures and collectibles.
Hmm.
But on eBay, I got I look at eBay. I look in everywhere. I look very around the world. I got action figures from Australia. I got action
Hmm.
figures direct from Japan or China. I got figures from the United States, but it's almost the shipping costs are very high sometimes. And
Yeah.
then I wait till they came to Germany because the shipping is then when there's no shipping costs, I think.
Is there one specific store online there that you would use though, or is it just a combination of everything?
It's a combination, but I got when buy Prime One Studios, I go
Hmm.
to one Bunker 158. It's a store here in Germany. I buy them. When it's about action figures, I go to spacefiguren.de. When I need a older one, I go to eBay. It's
Okay.
when the older figures, you don't buy it on normal websites. You must go vintage, or you must search very be very patient to to get this figure you want.
Hmm. Yeah, I can understand that, obviously. And even me here in Australia, we have quite a number of places we can purchase from here. We have comic book stores, we have online retails like Pop Culture and Zing Pop Culture as well store. Aussie Collectibles. There's a lot of online places that we can buy from down here. I still purchase a lot of stuff from the US, especially
Yes,
like when I search for things online, especially on eBay. Majority of
yes.
the time that I search, I'm actually searching US region
Mm,
of eBay, not Australian, because
yeah.
I'm getting a lot of a better
You-
like what sorry. Now I'm not finding the right word. I'm getting a better variety of
yes,
things that I can look for and source from there as well. Sometimes it costs me a little bit extra, but I can get the pieces that I really want.
honestly, sometimes when you see a figure here in Germany, they're much more expensive when you go to America,
Hmm.
because they have a lot more, and then the prices changed a little
Hmm.
bit. Yes,
Hmm.
I got the XM Poison Ivy Samurai Edition. I bought her here in Germany by a collector who doesn't know how expensive she is now on internet. I bought her very cheap, and I'm very lucky to get her. But when you see it on the internet, on eBay, she's not even more. Sometimes she's on eBay, but for prices that you don't imagine.
Is that the
But I
large? When you say the samurai one, is it the large 1/4 scale statue?
this one, you see
Ah,
her?
this that yeah. It's a beautiful one. I love that one. For people listening, I believe that is the one that was from. I want to say that was the one from Sideshow.
Now XM. She's
Oh,
from XM Studios.
XM. No, sorry, that's what I meant. XM. Sorry, yes, XM because I've got the Batman behind me from that
Yes, I saw
series.
her.
Yeah.
It's the same line, and I think Poison Ivy was one of the first ones, and
Yes.
she's out everywhere. And the
But that
Catwoman,
statue as well has the parasol as well. You can change and put the
yes, yes,
parasol and
she
change
had
the
a,
headpiece and everything as well.
yes, she has more geisha with a geisha
Yes.
painted.
Yes.
I love this modern style, and I changed a little bit. This week it's so. Next week I change the head.
It's a beautiful statue. It's definitely a beautiful statue. It's a beautiful collection. It's an absolutely beautiful collection that you have. Fernando, I think I'm probably going to wrap it up here. I think this has been a fantastic chat. Um,
Thank you.
I've
This was very
really
nice.
enjoyed chatting to you and getting to learn about your love for Wonder Woman and your collection. I've just loved. Half the time, I think I've been staring in the background past you while I've been talking to you because it's such a beautiful view. That room. You must spend a lot of time in there, I imagine.
I love it. Every free time I'm here to create or to clean, and this is my safe space. When you came from work, I work in the hospital, and when I came home and in this room, it's for me, it's my safe place. I love to be in
Nice.
here and change a little bit, or do a photo, or make a video for Instagram. This is my where I get down when I come. It feels home when I'm here in this room.
And a lot of collectors can identify with that. So, where would people find pictures and videos of your room? Plug your socials. Where can people find you?
only on Instagram. I done a year ago my Instagram account. It's the Amazon collector. And I'm not at Facebook. I'm a little bit, but never so much. It's very small on Facebook, but on Instagram, it's my biggest site or my biggest social media.
Excellent. I'll drop the links down in the description as always so that people can go and have a look at your collection. But I've really enjoyed chatting to you today. Thank you very much for spending time with me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Enjoy, you too. It was very nice to talk to you. I hope you understood everything I said. And sorry for my English.
No, not at all. It was perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you liked the episode, please consider following or subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also join me on Instagram at Collecting Heroes, where you can see photos of the collections of the people that I'm talking to, as well as some of my own.